Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana. Shining is the self in all beings. By the immense grace of that self manifest as Ramana, we begin today's satsang with the prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of Muktakatrayam by Sri Nandakumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां शिवर्णतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Ekam aksharam Nirantaram Bhasade Swayam Likyate Taham Hridaya Kuhara Madhi Kevalam Brahmamatram Yaham Maham Iti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati Hrudi Vishamanasa Swam Chingvata Machata Pavana Chalana Rodha Atmanishto Deham Ranmayavat Jadatmakam Aham Buddhiratasyasthitu Naham Tattata Bhava Shukti Samai Siddhatma Sadbhava Kuruham Bhavayuta Kuto Aradhiya Drishtatmanishtatmana Soham Stupita Arunachala Shiva Om Vibhati Swayam Soham Stupitaya Arunachala Shiva Om Vibhati स्वयं नमो
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the chanting of verses from Upadesha Saram by Ashwini Balaji and Uma Shripati.
नमो रमण इदमहं पदाभिक्यमन्वहम् अहमिलीनके प्रलयसत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रिया प्राणगीतमा नाहमेकसत्तज्जडं यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्त्ववेतरा सत्तया हि चेत् चित्तया ह्यहम् ईश जीवयोर्वेषदीपिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेषहानता स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनम् स्वात्मरूपता आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा पूर्णचित्सुखम् बन्धमुख्यतीतं परं सुखम् विन्दतीह जीवस्तु दैविक अहमपेतकम् निजविभानकम् महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम् नमो रमण
Namo Ramana. We have offerings of Ramana Anjali Sangeetam. The first one will be by Srimati V. Radha and she will be accompanied by Vallabh. And the second one will be by Srimati Pratibha Sundaresh.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we will be singing a song written by Sri Sadhu Om Swami and the music is by Sri L. Krishnan. Kinjum adiyar nெஞ்சமிருந்தருள் கொஞ்சும் ரமணா நமோ நமோ கிஞ்சும் அடியார் நெஞ்சமிருந்தருள் கொஞ்சும் ரமணா நமோ நமோ கை கூப்பிடுவார் மெய் காத்து அருள்வோர் கை கூப்பிடுவார் மெய் காத்து அருள்வோய் கருணா ரமணா நமோ நமோ கருணா ரமணா நமோ நமோ கருணா ரமணா நமோ நமோ குரு ரமணா சத்குரு ரமணா சத்குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ
Guru Ramana
குரு ரமணா சத்குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ சத்குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ சத்குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ காரணமில்லா கருணை கடலே கத்தியே ரமணா காரணமில்லா கருணை கடலே கத்தியே ரமணா கத்தியே ரமணா கெஞ்சும் அடியார் நெஞ்சமிருந்தருள் கொஞ்சும் ரமணா நமோ நமோ பூரண ஞானம் அளித்தல் புரியும் காரண குருவே நமோ நமோ பூரண ஞானம் அளித்தல் புரியும் காரண குருவே நமோ நமோ காரண குருவே நமோ நமோ கிரி அருணாச்சல மறைமொழி மணியே அருணை ரமணா கிரி அருணாச்சல மறைமொழி மணியே அருணை ரமணா அருணை ரமணா கெஞ்சும் அடியார் நெஞ்சமிருந்தருள் கொஞ்சும் ரமணா நமோ நமோ கை கூப்பிடுவார் மெய் காத்து அருள்வோய் கை கூப்பிடுவார்
மெய் காத்து
அருள்வோய் கருணா ரமணா நமோ நமோ கருணா ரமணா நமோ நமோ. குரு ரமணா சத்குரு ரமணா சத்குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ சத்குரு ரமணாய நமோ நமோ. காரணமில்லா கருணை கடலே கத்தியே ரமணா கத்தியே ரமணா. பூரண ஞானம் அளித்தல் புரியும் காரண குருவே நமோ நமோ காரண குருவே நமோ நமோ. கிரி அருணாச்சல மறைமொழிமணியே அருணை ரமணா அருணை ரமணா. கெஞ்சும் அடியா நெஞ்சமிருந்தருள் கொஞ்சும் ரமணா நமோ நமோ. கை கூப்பிடுவார் மெய் காத்து அருள்வோய் கை கூப்பிடுவார் மெய் காத்து அருள்வோய். கருணாம் ரமணா நமோ நமோ கருணா ரமணா நமோ நமோ. ரமணா 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 ரமணா. கொஞ்சம் ரமணா நமோ 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 ரமணா.
Shall we go on to the next one? Namo Ramana. We continue the Ramananjali music offering with the offering from Savitri Krishnan and Jai Shri Ram Krishna, followed by the offering from Revati Shankar.
ஆதி அருணாச்சலன வேத குரு வாழ்க. ஆத்ம வடிவான பரமாத்மனவன் வாழ்க. ஆதி அருணாச்சலன வேத குரு வாழ்க. ஆத்ம வடிவான பரமாத்மனவன் வாழ்க. ஜோதி அருள் ஜோதி சிவ ஜோதி குரு வாழ்க. ஜோதி ரமணேஷ குரு ஜோதி சிவன் வாழ்க. ஆதி அருணாச்சலன வேத குரு வாழ்க. ஆத்ம வடிவான பரமாத்மனவன் வாழ்க. பாமரரும் பார்த்திடவே பாரி குரு பாதம். நாம ரமணேஷன் அருணாச்சல குமாரன். பாமரரும் பார்த்திடவே பாரி குரு பாதம். நாம ரமணேஷன் அருணாச்சல குமாரன். மாமனமழித்து வசமாக்குமாவீரன். மாமனமழித்து வசமாக்குமாவீரன். மாயை வரை மீட்டருள வந்த அதிகாரன். ஆதி அருணாச்சலன வேத குரு வாழ்க. ஆத்ம வடிவான பரமாத்மனவன் வாழ்க. தீன ஜனமானிடரும் க்ஷேமமுறகவாய். மோன வழியான அருளியின் குருவாவாய். தீன ஜனமானிடரும் க்ஷேமமுறகவாய். மோன வழியான அருளியின் குருவாவாய். தான கருணாகரனை ஞானமய தேவா. தான கருணாகரனை ஞானமய தேவா. சத்குரு ரமண தேவ ஜய தேவா. ஆதி அருணாச்சலன வேத குரு வாழ்க. ஆத்ம வடிவான பரமாத்மனவன் வாழ்க. ஜோதி அருள் ஜோதி சிவ ஜோதி குரு வாழ்க. ஜோதி ரமணேஷ குரு ஜோதி சிவன் வாழ்க. ஆதி அருணாச்சலன வேத குரு வாழ்க ஆத்ம வடிவான பரமாத்மனவன் வாழ்க ஜோதி குரு வாழ்க ஜோதி சிவன் வாழ்க ஜோதி குரு வாழ்க ஜோதி சிவன் வாழ்க. ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீராம்.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We are meditating on the 30th verse of Saddarshanam, 31st verse of Saddarshanam. Aham kritim yolasati grasitva kim tasya karyam parishishtamasti kinchid vijanati sanatmanonyat tasya sthitim bhavayitum kshamah kaha. Who can understand the state of the one who has dissolved his ego and is abiding always in the self? For him, the self alone is. What remains for him to do? What remains for him to do? Krityamasti kim swasthitim yatha, says Bhagavan in Upadeshasaram. When the ego is dissolved, there is only the self which shines. Like the doll, salt doll, when goes near the ocean, it dissolves and disappears, and only the ocean remains. What does the ocean need to do except to be? A jnani always is. He does many things, but he is always in the self. Let us all pray for and practice Bhagavan's self-inquiry, which will lead us to self-abiding. I present to you a song written by C.N. Shastri and music by C.N. Shastri. योगी रमण परम गुरुवे योगी रमण परम गुरुवे ಬಾಲಕನಾಗಿರೆ ಕಾಲನ ನೋಡಿ ಛಲದಿ ಮನವಾ ಬಂಧನ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಾಲಕನಾಗಿರೆ ಕಾಲನ ನೋಡಿ ಛಲದಿ ಮನವಾ ಬಂಧನ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಲವು ಜನ್ಮದ ಭ್ರಾಂತಿಯ ನೀಗೆ ಹಲವು ಜನ್ಮದ ಭ್ರಾಂತಿಯ ನೀಗೆ ಕಾಲನ ಲೀಲೆಯ ನೀಗೆಲಿದೆ ಯೋಗಿ ರಮಣ ಪರಮ ಗುರುವೇ ಯೋಗಿ ರಮಣ ಪರಮ ಗುರುವೇ ನಾನ್ಯಾರೆಂಬುದ ತಿಳಿದವ ನೀನೇ ನಾನೆನ್ನುವ ಆತ್ಮನು ನೀನೇ ನಾನಾರೆಂಬುದ ತಿಳಿದವ ನೀನೇ ನಾನೆನ್ನುವ ಆತ್ಮನು ನೀನೇ ಜನನ ಬಂಧನ ಅತೀತ ನೀನೇ ಜನನ ಬಂಧನ ಅತೀತ ನೀನೇ ನಿನ್ನ ಭಕ್ತರ ಪೊರೆ ಗುರು ನಿನ್ನ ಭಕ್ತರ ಪೊರೆ ಗುರು 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 ನಮೋ ರಮಣ.
Namo Ramana. We now have the reading and the sharing by Sri Nanda Kumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we go back to reading from fresh discoveries, Western seekers on Sri Ramana Maharshi. The compilation is by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We are moving on to the account by Sunyata Bhava. Musing on Sri Ramana Maharshi is the title he has given. Musing, of course, is contemplation or thinking deeply. Musing on Sri Ramana Maharshi, Sunyata Kalimat Almora. Freedom from identity experience. Of course, Sunyata Bhava was born as Alfred Julius Emanuel Sorensen in Denmark in 1890, and his spiritual experiences of freedom come when he eventually comes to Bhagavan in the 30s and 40s. So he has, of course, before that met Rabindranath Tagore in England, where he was working as a gardener, and he was met by Rabindranath Tagore and invited by Tagore to come and teach Shunyata in his university. So we go on with the account of Sunyata Bhava. Sunyata Kalimat Almoda. Freedom from identity experience. Our first darshan of Sri Ramanaji was like a Himalayan dawn, not unfamiliar, and so not outwardly exciting or surprising, but as ever experienced in calm elation and glad wonder. The experience of Bhagavan is familiar, but therefore the surprise is not there, but there is always this calm elation and glad wonder, it says. Arunachala was felt to be Himalayan, and returning to our Uttara sanctuary, we naturally felt Sri Ramanaji as consciousness, as an all-pervading grace in the pure Akasha vastness and in the luminous silence around and within, as an all-suffusing consciousness and pervading presence, completely fulfilling, healing, and harmonizing. Bhagavan is completely fulfilling, healing, and harmonizing. No need to seek again the Maharishi's bodily presence in the far south, when his reality is here, and his eternity living sets us free in identity experiencing. He, that is Bhagavan, is the Sunyata silence of Sri Himalaya. And where can one go in time-free, space-free eternity? There is no need to shout, to fuss, or to lean on external gurus. The flaming heart called Arunachala, as also the desire-free Kailash, the Niranjana Narayana, and the ever-Shakti-free and rhythmically transmuting Nataraja are all authentic experiences within ourselves. The Sahaja recognizes itself in this or that other form and function everywhere. The Sahaja recognizes itself in this or that form and function everywhere. Darshan is not outer sight, nor knowledge, nor understanding, but is Swadarshan in Swalila. It is inner standing. Sorensen, Sunyata Bhava, is known for creating new words in English and mixing Sanskrit and other languages in his writings. It is inner standing, insight, or wisdom in identity or non-dual experiencing. There are no others, not two, but consummation in the eternal moment in time. and is lived also in actualities and in the joyous flux in Swalela. In the eternal moment in time reminds us of the timeless in time title given by our founder president. Ramana, the spring of the whole, is the subtitle for the next paragraphs. Consummation is never finished. Consciously aware, we, like Ramana Maharshi, experience that we are more than human, that our highest glory is where we cease to exist. This is a quote from Bhagavan. Our highest glory is where we cease to exist, and that our bondage is delusive. We are what we ever are, free in rather than free from or free of this or that form, tool or function, but free in ego, free in concepts, free in death, free in Swadharma. That means what Sunyata Baba is saying is that we are not free from something or free of something, in which the freedom is always with reference to that, with reference to that particular thing. So there is always the fear that we may get bound again with that thing. Whereas this is free in, despite the ego being there, despite one being in the body, there is freedom. So free in, gaily and lightly, we dance in seeming fetters, attached, be renounced. Like craving and possessive love, it vanishes in the dawn of Himalayan consciousness, in the intuitive light of real self-identity experiencing. We simply reawaken from ego willfulness, power antics, and dual consciousness into Swadharma, Swadarshan in Swalila. Swadharma is our chief concern. Sri Ramana Maharshi was and is the strength of the whole, consciously free in all ego fuss, exhibitionism, and Maya Shakti business. Bhagavan is the freedom in, just like in the previous writing, The Hill of Fire, Monica Bose had opened up the possibility that she could see that despite Bhagavan seeming to be bound by the ashram rules, by the requirements of the devotees, by all that, despite all that, he was as free as freedom could ever be. So the same is expressed in different words by Shunyata Baba. Swadharma is our chief concern. Sri Ramana Maharshi was and is the strength of the whole, consciously free in all ego fuss, in all exhibitionism, and in all Maya Shakti business. Contemplation is the best tapas, and tapas is really radiance, is Purana. The best prayer is self-experiencing. The best prayer is Atma Darshanam, Atmanubhavam. The best asana is being in oneself. He has introduced the word asana into English. The best asana, as in this seat, the best asana is being in oneself. This is, of course, a quote from Bhagavan. The best ashram is the body or the universe. The best sanctuary is the mystic heart cave. The best Shakti is nature, also Himalayan inner Sahaja nature, in Swadharmic culture. The best freedom is within, in joyous Swalila. Of mountains, I am Himalayan consciousness, like Sri Ramana Maharshi. And of the men of mystic wisdom, I am their silence. The second chapter, he has entitled it as the conceit of agency. Conceit, of course, the dictionary says, means excessive pride. Excessive pride of feeling that through us something is happening. Through us, God is experiencing and expressing himself. that pride we have, he says, conceit of agency. Sri Kalidasa experienced and revealed in the 5th century AD that the world was not made for man, that man reaches his full stature only as he realizes the dignity and worth of a life that is not human. As archetypes of the more than human awareness, we favor the mature and the mystic sage, the Sufi and the Rishi. So Sunita Baba is saying, man comes to freedom only when he is able to see the dignity of life present in the smallest of other creatures, as well as to see the greatness of itself in these more than human archetypes. Archetypes, of course, refers to the Jungian concept of higher powers inside the subconscious, the mystical sage, the Sufi, and the Rishi. Silence is the most potent form of work, said Maharishi Ramana. Paradoxes are near to the silence, that is more than cessation of sound and of human ego noises. Ramana is this all-pervading silence. The sun self radiates mutely. The earth, the sun, stars, and the invisible real move in a rhythmic silence that is unaware by the ego, who fuss in the conceit of agency. All this, as Ganapati Muni says, the world, the I, and the Param, all are shining together as this Purana, but that Purana is unaware by the ego. It is not available for the darshan of the separate entity. This Purana can be felt only when that separate nature is given up. The conceit of agency is given up. It is unaware by the ego, says Sunita Baba, that you cannot feel this Purana and try to keep the ego or the conceit. Life is a steady, visible light. Life is a steady, visible light. Anubhava is only going beyond the pairs of opposites and triputis and finding yourself free in and behind. Bondage is delusive. He quotes Bhagavan, Mukti is not attained. Mukti is your real nature. We are always that. As long as we assert or speak of Mukti, we are not free from the sense of bondage. Quote ends. Neither knowledge, nor ignorance, nor power play are real. Assertion and duality are not true enough. Symbols are shadows. Words are divisions and are always falsifying the silence and the experiencing. Even true word symbols are veils for Advaita experiencing. True, but not true enough. Don't just talk with the words, he says. Go for the actual experience of Advaitic presence of the self. Be a light unto yourself. That's what Buddha also is known to have said. Be a light unto yourself. You don't need a light from other than you. Be still. Experience and be Maharishi Ramana. But beware. Don't try to be still. Sunyata Baba is saying, experience and be Ramana Maharishi. But beware, don't try to be still. I am trying to be still is not stillness, he says. You are the stillness. Shed the conceit of agency. We cling to our virtues, loves, and predilections in our pilgrimage in consciousness. We are apt to hug our burdens even in a train, our disguises even before God. So even in a train, that is very clear to all of us, the devotees of Bhagavan, where Bhagavan says, don't carry the luggage on your head when you are traveling in a train. Keep it on the luggage rack. So here Sunita Baba is referring to two other similes like that the ego has this habit of carrying the luggage on the head even in the train. We put disguises even before God, even before Bhagavan, we try to show some other faces as we do in our normal day-to-day life. Sunita Baba says, we are clever karma yogis. We are the doers, the actors, the creative artists, heroes on the revolving stage, our spinning globe. Sri Ramana, when asked why he did not go about and preach his gospel, replied, I have no gospel, no school of thought. Does your preaching consist in mounting a platform and haranguing the people around, pleasing and pandering to egos? How do you know I am not teaching, evoking and educing? The simple communication of wisdom can really be done in silence only. There is effort-free consummation. Which is better, to preach and assert loudly with lasting effort, or to be still, sending out inner force? People do not understand the simple bare truth of their everyday, ever-present, eternal experience. Advaita is non-identification. It is not the work that hinders, but the idea that it is you who are doing it. You cannot renounce or retain or as you choose. Depend on unerring intuition. Effort is your bondage. There Bhagavan's quote ends. This is a beautiful quote from Bhagavan, so I'll go through that again. Bhagavan says, I have no gospel, no school of thought. Does your preaching, the question is asked to Bhagavan, why are you not going to various places and preaching? So that quote, Sunyata Baba has taken in quote. Does your preaching consist in mounting a platform and haranguing the people around? Haranguing is a form of repeatedly, forcefully saying the same fact so that it is driven home. How do you know I am not teaching, evoking and educing? The simple communication of wisdom can really be done in silence only. Because in that silence of Bhagavan, all existence is gathered together and is present as Spurana. Bhagavan says, the sage's silence helps the whole of humanity without their knowledge. Without them coming to knowledge, Bhagavan's silence is always helping us. There is effort-free consummation in that silence. Which is better, Bhagavan asks, to preach and assert loudly without lasting effort, or to be still, sending out the inner force? When there is stillness, like the sun is radiating, Bhagavan's grace radiates out of him, says Humphreys. People do not understand the simple bare truth of their everyday, ever-present, eternal experience. Advaita is non-identification. It is not the work that hinders, but the idea that it is you that who is doing it. The conceit of agency is what comes in the way of grace. You cannot renounce or retain as you choose. This is another famous quote from Bhagavan, that work has to be done. When it is there, it has to be done. You have no choice to accept or reject, says Bhagavan. Why do you say, oh, I accepted nicely? No, I will not do. Neither works. In silence, neither acceptance nor rejection is required. Work has to be done when it is there. You cannot renounce or retain as you choose. Depend on unerring intuition. This is what is asked of Bhagavan once. How do you know that whatever you are doing, what Bhagavan is doing, is good or is right? Bhagavan says it is only in intuition, it is only in silence that all the actions get validated. Whatever has been done gets validated only in the Mauna. Depend on unerring intuition. Effort is your bondage. That I am doing, the agency is the bondage, says Bhagavan. Here the quote ends and Sunyata Baba starts writing again. Maharishi Ramana, like Dakshinamurti, radiates the mature silence, the quality of essence, the calm strength of the Purna integrality, and with no false identification, no conceit of agency, no sense of being specially holy or specially free. Bhagavan would never show up when somebody had come and asked for Bhagavan when he was constructing, when he was placing the stones. Are you the Maharishi? Bhagavan would neither acknowledge nor reject. And when he goes back and sits, the same people understand that he is the Maharishi. And one of his attendants asked, why Bhagavan? Why did you not tell them then, when they saw you the first time there near the building? Then Bhagavan says, do you think I have to put a board that this is Maharishi, the all-knowing Jnani, who is there? So that's what Sunita Baba says. He was simply radiating grace without any sense of revealing his special holiness or being specially free. When asked, do your silence and realization help others? Bhagavan replied, yes, it is the best help that you can possibly render to others. Those who have discovered great truths have done so in inner silence, in the still depth of the self. But really, there are no others to be helped. For the awakened being, he is aware only of the self. It is here and now and alone. I will read that again. Do your silence and realization help others? Bhagavan is asked. Sundita Baba quotes. Bhagavan replies, yes, it is the best help that you can possibly render to others. The Maunam, which we go in the practice of Atma Vichara, is the best help we can do to ourselves and to others simultaneously. It is the best help you can possibly render to others. Those who have discovered great truths have done so in inner silence, in the still depth of the self. But really, there are no others to be helped. In that silence, there are no others to be helped. For the awakened being is aware only of the self. Tannayandri anniyam undrum ariya. Other than the self, nothing is known by the jnani. The self alone is existing. That self, which alone is, it is here and now and alone, says Bhagavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramaya.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, that which is here and now, that self alone. And to reach that self, to experience it here and now, Bhagavan has given us that simple path of inquiry. Let us practice it as today guided by Dilip Sinha.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tambraravindeksham Bhaktabhishtavarabhayapradakaram Kaupinamatrojvalam Svatmanandarasanubhuti vivasham Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram. We will commence today's Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. As usual, I am reading from Guru Vachaka Kovai in the chapter Meditation on the Truth. The topic blessed by Bhagavan is Upasana, worship. Verse 510. Those fortunate ones who have beheld in their heart the flowery lotus feet of the Lord that glow with transcendental purity will shine as gnana, full of divine luster, as their polluting, inauspicious proclivities, that is vasanas, are reduced to nothing. I repeat, those fortunate ones who have beheld in their heart the flowery lotus feet of the Lord that glow with transcendental purity will shine as gnana, full of divine luster, as their polluting, inauspicious proclivities, vasanas, are reduced to nothing. The fortunate ones, the ones who have been blessed by that very lotus feet, by that gracious ocean, for whatsoever reason that it decided to bless, better known to it, it alone blossoms and it glows with transcendental purity, a purity which is beyond all the three states, it's beyond all the limitations, it is beyond all the divisions. That lotus feet of the Lord, which itself had graciously blessed the heart in which it blossoms, only shines as gnana. It just is and shining as the gnana. And therefore, all we need to do is get back to that lotus feet, that Guru who is within us, and surrender. That is the real Upasana. Surrender. Understand that glory of that Lord who is there, the Guru who is there, and just hand over the whole thing to Him and just remain. In that, what that does, that self-abidance does, or that surrender to the Guru does, it removes all the vasanas. It actually reduces them to nothing. Before that, the vasanas are the only reality. They are the center stage of the heart. They are making us believe what they come out as the form of thoughts. Even now, whatever thought is coming, if we just, since we attend, that alone appears to be real, isn't it? Therefore, it's all the play of the vasanas. This is what Bhagavan has understood and guides us, that instead of attending the thought, which is the vasana which has arisen and has taken the center stage, if we diligently inquire to whom is this thought, no matter how many thoughts rise and what is the quality of each of the thought, if we diligently inquire for every thought, then we are transcending that vasana and recognizing that it is for me, the one single entity. This is the first division that has happened in the total undivided self. We recognize it is for me. Thereupon, Bhagavan asks us to inquire, who am I then? Who is this I? Or where from this I rises within me? Or what do I really refer to as I? When we trace the source of the I, with the question, who am I? With the keen inquiry of who this I is, the grace we kindle that grace, we kindle that, we invoke that grace which is ever present, the Guru who is ever present as the source. And when we do that, and we reach his lotus feet, when we inquire, who am I? And by doing that, that vasana which had arisen as a thought, which was trying to captivate us, is immediately turned to nothing. It is made to nothing. And the lotus feet of the Lord alone shines there. And it is the gnana, it is the fullness that shines. Such is this direct path given by Bhagavan to all of us, by the Master. He has blessed us with an opportunity to get back to the self with every vasana which earlier we thought that we couldn't transcend. And here he is revealing that the self, the lotus feet of the Lord which is within, is here and now the transcendental truth. It is the ocean of grace available to all of us at all times. All we need to do is turn our attention away from the thoughts and the vasanas and try to get to the source of all of that. And the moment we do it, we are in that, we are captured in that grace, and all these vasanas are turned into nothing. And with repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to remain at the source. All the vasanas will be absorbed in the self, and then the self alone shines, which is the real truth. It is only the vasanas which makes us appear the otherwise. With the immense grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we could have come to this Atma Vichara. Let us inquire every thought diligently for the next 10 minutes. Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Thank you. Thank you.
Namo Ramana. Next we have Sri Venkatesh Deshpande sharing with us insights about selections from the Bhagavad Gita of Bhagavan, the Gita Sara.
Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansuchanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasudrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogiradhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om We're doing manana on the Bhagavad Gita Sara. We've actually got to the verse number 35, which is from chapter 2, verse number is 71. I request Sapna to kindly chant the verses, please.
Yes, sir. अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता सारः विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमां शरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमां शरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. The one who, having abandoned all desires, moves about without any attachment, without any ego I, and without any sense of possession, mine or mine attitude, is bestowed with the ultimate peace, which is known as liberation. This verse can be called as a one-sentence moksha capsule. The necessity for leaving of all desires can never be overemphasized. What is the basic cause for all the desires? It is the ignorance of who we are and wrongly considering the body as ours. As we begin to be attached to the body as I, anything or anyone connected with the body, namely the family members, property, other possessions, become objects of our love and attachment. This attitude gives us rise to desires either to possess and enjoy more of them or a desire to keep those possessions safe. Any ailment to a person's son or wife or a loss to the property keeps his mind agitated. How does the desire arise? Because the present state is unbearable. Why? Because it is not your true nature. Had it been your true nature, no desire would disturb you. How does the present state differ from your real nature? You are spirit and truth. However, that spirit is wrongly identifying itself with the gross body. The body has been projected by the mind. The mind itself has originated from the spirit. If the wrong identification ceases, there will be peace and permanent, untellable bliss. This is as per the talk number 396. This Gita verse is an echo of another verse from Kathopanishad, where the meaning is, when once all desires which have their base in the heart leave a person, such a mortal becomes immortal and attains the supreme self, Brahman, here and now. So there is a story of a neighboring country in which there was a revolution and the royal family had to take refuge in India. When the situation improved, the king and the queen and their courtiers returned, leaving the 3-month-old prince in the safe hands of their trusted governess in Mumbai. They told her not to tell anyone that he was the prince, not even the little heir himself. Soon thereafter, the entire royal family was put to death. The infant prince was the only surviving member, the heir to the throne. There was anarchy in the state for several years. When peace returned, the loyal subjects wanted their king back. They sent their representatives all over Mumbai to look for the prince. The prince and his governess were living in the streets in utter poverty. The prince was a beggar. One day he would get a big bonus and celebrate. Another day, nobody would give him alms, so he was dejected. This was his life. One day he encountered the royal entourage. They were speaking a strange language which he had heard his governess speak. So he quickly ran and called her out. She realized that they were the courtiers looking out for the prince and was ecstatic. However, due to security reason, she did not tell the prince the truth. She only said that they were friends and had invited them to their hometown. On arrival in their city capital, they told the prince the truth. Initially, he wanted to return to Mumbai and was uncomfortable in his new role, but he gradually got used to it and soon he became a good king. A year later, he came to India on a state visit. One day in Mumbai, he dodged his security persons, got into his old beggar clothes, and went to the same street where he used to beg until a year ago. He went to a few shops and homes. Some gave him alms, others didn't. What is the difference between his experiences now and a year back? Who is he now? He is the king. Who was he a year ago? He was the king even then. Then what is the difference? 1 year back, even though he was the king, he did not know he was the king. It is the ignorance of his kingship that made a world of difference to his experiences. 1 year back, when somebody was good to him, he was thrilled. If somebody was unpleasant, he was dejected. He went through the ups and downs of life because he did not know he was the king. Now he is going through the same experiences, but he is enjoying every moment of the 2 hours in his beggar clothes. Because why? Because he knows he is the king. So all we have to do is to understand who we really are. Once you understand that you are king, Atman, you remain unaffected through the highs and lows of life. You retain the equanimity and exhilaration of kingship through all your experiences. So therefore, knowledge is the key. I'll read that again. So all you have to do is to understand who you really are. Once you understand that you are king, Atman, you remain unaffected through the highs and lows of life, especially in the current situation all around the world. There are a lot of highs and lows. So if you believe you are the Atman, you remain unaffected. You retain the equanimity and exhilaration of kingship through all your experiences. So therefore, knowledge is the key. Knowledge not of the Gita, not of the scriptures, but knowledge of yourself. Atma Bodha. Shankaracharya says, of all spiritual disciplines, knowledge of self is the direct means to liberation. Once you know your true identity, you live in the world in a totally different manner, detached, unaffected, blissful. I read that again. Knowing knowledge not of the Gita, not of the scriptures, but knowledge of the self. That's what Bhagavan keeps telling us. Keep on doing self-inquiry, keep on doing self-inquiry. In Atma Bodha, Shankaracharya says, of all spiritual disciplines, knowledge of self is the direct means to liberation. Once you know your true identity, that means what we are that. It's not that we have to get somewhere, we have to go somewhere, we lack something, we are whole and complete. That's why they say Purnamada, Purnamidam, we are whole and complete. So if once you know that, your true identity, you live in the world in a totally different manner. Because if you know that if you think you are got plenty of money, will you think of money? No, you won't. So detached, unaffected, blissful, you'll be detached. But why you would be detached? Because you know that whatever you're seeing through your senses is not true. It's a passing show. It is there now and it's not there. So between thought to thoughts, there is silence. There's silence before the thought, there's silence after the thought. But only when there is a thought, the ego rises and we think that all these names and forms are all true. But actually, those are not true. So if you are in that state, you will become unaffected and you will always be in a blissful state. May Bhagavan bless us all to be able to see our true nature, and may we abide in the self all the time. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the sharing from Dr. Kallarani Rangaswamy on Jnana Vichara Padalam Devi Kalottaram.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Arunachalam என அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் Arunachalam. Namo Ramana to all. With the abundant grace of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi, we are meditating on Devi Kalottara Jnana Vichara Padalam, very generously given to us by Bhagavan. And in the last satsang, we saw that it does not matter which way we follow for controlling the storm-like mind. The mind has to be controlled. That's all. We may choose any ubaya which suits us, because at times, the ubaya may be very good. It may be excellent. But if I cannot observe it, if I cannot follow it, there is no use in it. I'll tell you an example. See, for our front gate of our house, the best metal may be gold, because it will not get rusted. But all cannot afford it, isn't it? Likewise, the method may be so good, but if we are not able to follow it, there is no use at all. So, out of great compassion, Bhagavan says, controlling of the mind is more important, need not worry about the upaya. Because once there is manonasha, the need to go to Tirtha Yatra is also completed. Aduve nat tirtham, aduve dan danam, aduve tavamahum. When one is able to attain manonasha, there is no need for dana dharma because the end result of dana is destruction of the ahankara and mamahara, which leads to manonasha. Again, by doing tapas, one attains only manonasha. So controlling of mind is the direct path of manonasha, that is mukti. Why controlling of mind is so very important? In the next stanza, Bhagavan says, Sittam Sirid Asaya Samsara. Samsara means not only the family that we belong to. In fact, it is not the family that matters. Because Bhagavan says, I left Madurai leaving behind my family, but see how big family I am having here now in the ashram. But for jnanis, this does not matter at all because he will be with all. He will be mingling with everyone, but will not be attached to anyone. All are equal to him. His karuna will be the same for peacock, monkey, dog, squirrel, and the devotees because his mind is merged into the source. Such was the state of people who lived with Bhagavan. One devotee from some other ashram came to Ramanashram and Bhagavan was asking him about the activities of his ashram. He said, Bhagavan, we are asked to do Rama Jabam by our Guru right from the morning till evening. And in the evening, we will offer the pala of the japa to our Guru. Bhagavan said, oh, great one. At that time, Muruganar entered the hall. Bhagavan said, see how nice and how lucky his Guru is. Shishyas are doing Rama Japa the whole day and they offer the fruit of that japa to their Guru in the evening. How great, isn't it? Muruganar spontaneously said, oh, good. But the Guru I got is very worst. Why? Asked Bhagavan. Then what? Their Guru has left the Shishya's mind with them. Then only it is possible for them to do the japa. Where is the mind here? My Guru has swallowed it. Then with what I can do the japa or tapa? Only if I have the mind I can do the tapas or do Rama japa. Isn't it? Muruganar said. Even in Aksharam Panamalai, Bhagavan says, Sapadundanai Sadhunavayam Sandamai Povan Arunachala. Hey Arunachala, I started from Madurai thinking that you will be a very good food for me. But on the contrary, what happened? You made me your food. You swallowed my ahankara. You swallowed my mind. And that is why when once Bhagavan was sick, one of the lady devotee profusely cried and requested Bhagavan, Bhagavan, why don't you please cure yourself? I can't see you like this. Bhagavan said, Manasunu unni enga vachu vaalradhu. Only when I have a mind, I can think of curing myself. After Manonasha, where is the place for the thought? Where is the place for the mind? Because of the anubhavam that he got, he is very much particular that by any means, mind has to be controlled and abide in the self. So he says, samsara is not the family alone, but it is the mind. Sittam sirid asaya samsaram. Even a slight oscillation in the mind is called samsara. And that can be the seed of our rebirth. Once, Kubera was traveling with Shivaji in a Pushpavaha Vimanam and they were crossing Sri Lanka. Kubera thought how beautiful this place is. Beautiful gardens are there, beautiful rivers and beautiful mountains are there. how nice it will be if we stay here for some time. That very thought, that very single thought was the cause of him becoming the king of Sri Lanka, and he had to rule over that for some time. Actually, he was traveling with such a person whose beauty is incomparable with any beauty in the world, whole worlds. But he need not have admired the beauty of Sri Lanka at all. But since his mind oscillated over, and above that, he was to born again. That was his fate, and became the ruler of that beautiful place. That is why Bhagavan says, Siktam sirida asaya samsaram, Sikta nilai nichalamai nirka mukti. So, when the mind, without any oscillation, when it abides in the self, that is mukti. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We now continue with the sharing from Ujjwal Jagadish on Ramana Chatvarimshat.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have been meditating on the Ramana Chatvarimshat written by Ganapati Muni, compiled in this format by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi himself. We are at the 10th verse of Ramana Chatvarimshat, where Ganapati Muni sings of Ramana as such. Dharani dhara jangamapi tyajata dharani talavasita modutaye naraveshavrita nagarandra krita ramanena sanatamidam bhuvanam ramanena sanatamidam bhuvanam ramanena sanatamidam bhuvanam girijaya madilanu sa ತ್ಯಜಿಸಿದ ಧರಣಿ ತಲವಾಸಿಗಳ ತಮಹರಿಸಲು ನರರೂಪ ತಾಳಿಹನು ಗಿರಿಯ ಭೇದಿಸಿದವ ಆರಮಣನಿಂದ ಪತಿಯ ಪಡೆದಿಹುದಿ ಭುವನ ರಮಣನಿಂದ ಪತಿಯ ಪಡೆದಿಹುದಿ ಭುವನ ರಮಣನಿಂದ ಪತಿಯ ಪಡೆದಿಹುದಿ ಭುವನ. Ganapati Muni sings that this bhumi, this world is rejoicing that Ramana has come. Ramana has taken incarnation in a human form. And who is this Ramana? He is the one who destroyed this Asura who appeared in form of a hill. Who is that Asura? We got to know from the meditation on the Mahasena Mahom Shena Jataya Namaha. The first Asura which Subramanya encountered was this Krauncha hill, which represented all our karmas, all our tendencies, all our darkness, which appear before us as a huge hill and covers us from our own true nature, which is the bliss. And Ramana has come in the human form to destroy this Krauncha hill and give us the light and destroy the darkness. He has come. And who is he? He is Subramanya himself. And from where is he coming? He has even given up the comfort of being on the lap of the Jagan Mata Parvati. the son, the daughter of the Himavanta. That's why she is the Parvata Raja Kumari. She is the Parvati. He has left the lap of that Girija and he has come to earth. Last time when we meditated on this, we were thinking that this body is a hill which is inert. From this body, there appears a sense of consciousness. The Chinmayi, she is the Girija. And from that Girija, the Guru, out of compassion, that light of Girija appears as the Ahas Purana and appears as the Guru in the human form, and it destroys all the darkness, and which appears in the form of the hill, and it takes us back to that very Chinmayi and takes us and abides us in that Chinmayi which is the self. Professor K. Swaminathan, describing the life of Ramana, says, Ramana, who was in the lap of Meenakshi after attaining the self-knowledge, after becoming a sage of undying wisdom, after he faced the death, he left the lap of Meenakshi and he came to Arunachala, his father, to the feet of Arunachala, the father. And Arunachala, Bhagavan Ramana's Ashtakam says, Arunachala shines, Vin talam achalama, Vilangida nindrai. Arunachala shines from the heaven to the earth, and he shines there, revealing his glory. And what is that glory of Arunachala? The glory of Arunachala is to show that this hill, which is the self itself, Arunachalame Aham, this hill is not inert. Arivaru Giriyana Amartarum. It is not that hill which is shining as that hill which does not have any arivu. It is Amma Atishayam Idan Shayal Arivari Dharkum. It is difficult to understand the glory of this Arunachala, the self, to reveal this glory which cannot be explained in words. To reveal this glory, Ramana had to come in the human form, living the lap of his mother Meenakshi. He came to Arunachala, and when he came to Arunachala, he came in the human form. And what is the significance of this human form? Later we see in the life of Ramana, a little girl called Chandralekha, who later became a great dancer and an artist. When she came as a little girl to see Ramana with her father, and seeing Bhagavan, she asked, Appa, why is everybody doing namaskaram to this person? He is just a human. And Chandralekha's father smiled at her and said, Oh, my little daughter, they are saluting this person because he alone is human. And what is human? Bhagavan Ramana says, the purpose of being human, the paramount duty of being a human is to know yourself and understand your true nature. And Ramana had attained that purpose. And all others, we are all like animals. We are just eating, sleeping. And Kabir says, Kaya piya sukh se soya, inme kya re kamaya. What have you gained by just sleeping and eating? Even the animals do the same thing. What have you gained? Vanda velaya pare. See what is the purpose of being born as human. They say the human birth is very, very rare. Understand the purpose of this human birth, which is so rare, and attain that purpose, which is to know yourself, to tell this truth. Ramana is shining as the human at Arunachala. And when Ramana came to Arunachala, the world rejoiced. He says, Ramanena Sanatamidam Bhuvanam, the Bhuvanam which was waiting for a Lord, which was waiting for somebody to take care of her. She had got the Lord and she rejoiced. And we see that how she rejoiced is that she rejoiced and there was rain and there was happiness everywhere. And there was no rain in Tiruvannamalai for a long, long time. When Ramana came to Tiruvannamalai on the September 1st, 1896, there was huge rain, and various poets have sung this very, very same point, that Ramanena Sanatamidam Bonam, in various different ways. Dr. N.S. Lakshmi Narayana Bhatta says, ಅರುಣಾಚಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವತರಿಸಿದವರ ಕರುಣಾ ನಿಲಯನ ಹಾಡುವೆನು, ಮರುಳು ಮಾನವನ ಮುಸುಕಿದ ಮಾಯೆಯ ಇರುಳ ಕಳೆಯೆಂದು ಬೇಡುವೆನು. ಅರುಣಾಚಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವತರಿಸಿದವರ ಕರುಣಾ ನಿಲಯನ ಹಾಡುವೆನು. It is Subramanya himself who has come in the human form. He has incarnated again at Trivannamalai, at Arunachala. And why has he come? He has come to destroy the darkness of ignorance which is covering the human beings. That the human beings are thinking that this Arunachala, which is consciousness itself, we are thinking this consciousness is only Jada, it is only non-living being. And we think that this body, which is only Jada, is very, very conscious. We think this body is very, very important. I am very, very important, thinking that we are this body. And Ramana has come in the human form, who is Subramanya himself, to destroy this wrong notion, this inert hill that we are considering as consciousness, to destroy this darkness with his javelin, with his veil, Shakti veil of the enquiry. Who am I? Who is that who says I? Find out that this body is Jada. In sleep, it doesn't even know that it exists. And it doesn't even know what is happening inside the body when one is unwell. So how can you say that is consciousness? How can you say this body is I? Find out, who are you? Who am I? With this veil, he is destroying this false nation and making us realize that we are Arunachala, we are the consciousness which is shining always gloriously. And by this, Ramana is taking us back to that Chinmayi. And when one of the devotees says, "Oh, Ramana," they say that you are the incarnation of Subramanya, but I don't see any marks of Subramanya. Where is your veil? Where is the peacock? Where is that, the eastern hill that you are standing on? Where is the Arut Pal that you are drinking from your mother? Where is it? And Ramana, as a reply, he wrote this verse where he says, Velunde Jyoti Gunaverpunde Annai Arutpalunde Pannirandu Bahunde Neelunde Ekumana Mamayil Unde Ulahile Ramanan Tai Kukkivat Alavildan. He says everything is there. The veil is there. The eastern glorious hill is there. And the Arut Pal, the gracious milk of mother, is also ever flowing. It is there. And the Pannirandu Bahunde, even my 12 arms are there. And the beautiful blue peacock, which is so charming and mesmerizing, that is also there. And how can you see them? It is all there, but why are we not able to see them? You can only see them only when you surrender to my mother. Tai Kukkival Alavildan. You will only understand this truth, that I am Subramanya, and you can see all the marks of Subramanya only when you surrender to my mother, only when you fear my mother and surrender to it. And who is that mother? The Chinmayi. When we go deeper and deeper within to that Chinmayi, then alone we can see the true glory of Ramana, who is Subramanya himself. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
We now conclude today's satsang with verses from Aksharamana and the Ramana Ashtotram. The Aksharamana will be sung by Radha and Vallabh, and the Ashtotram will be chanted by Vaibhavji, Prarthana, Uma and Ashwini, and the puja will be done by Sri Subramanian at his altar. with the Aarti song led by Revati Shankar.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. பொடியான் மயக்கியன் போதத்தை பறித்து உன் போதத்தை காட்டினை போக்கும் வரவுமில் பொது வெளியினி அருள் போராட்டம் காட்டருணாச்சலாம் பௌதிக மாமுடல் பற்று அற்று நாடும் முன் பவிசு கண்டுர அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் மலை மருந்திட நீ மலைத்திடவோ அருள் மலை மருந்தாயோடி அருணாச்சலாம் மானம் கொண்டுருபவர் மானத்தை அழித்த அபிமானம் இல்லாதொழிர் அருணாச்சலாம் மிஞ்சிடு கெஞ்சிடும் கொஞ்ச வரிவனியன் வஞ்சியாதருள் என்னை அருணாச்சலாம் மிகாமன் இல்லாமல் மாகாற்றலை களம் மாகாம காத்தருள் அருணாச்சலாம் முடியடி காணா முடிவிடுத்தனை நேர் முடிவிட கடனிலை அருணாச்சலாம் மூங்கிலன் முன்காட்டு முகுர மகாதனை தூக்கி அணைந்தருள் அருணாச்சலாம் மெய்யகத்தின் மலமென் மலரணையில் நம்மை கலந்திட அருள் அருணாச்சலா மேன்மேல் தாழிடு மெல்லிய சேர்ந்து நீ மேன்மையுற்றனையன் அருணாச்சலா மைமய நீத்தருள் மையினலுனது உண்மை வசமாக்கினை அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावली अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशय यस्योमि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ॐ महासेन मुंसेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्ड संविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महाजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः. भूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दराय तपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः. ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः. ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः. ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः. ॐ तीव्राय नमः. ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः. ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमल्लिकाननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातीताय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजतजलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईव्याय नमः
ॐ भूमविद्या विशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्री शोणाचलोद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः ॐ सौम्याय नमः ॐ आत्मवते नमः ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः ॐ महाभागाय नमः ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः ॐ विहताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादकसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ मृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणात् बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नमैदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शनसुखमङ्गलमुख सकलजीवहितसम्मुख ब्रह्मसङ्घिये नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानन्दपुष्ट परममहर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೂಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।
More Guna, everyone. More Guna.
Namo Ramana.